Hi everyone, welcome to the Daily HUD. My name is Sierra.
I'm Dom, and it's Wednesday, my dudes.
Yes, Women Crush Wednesday. I've got my eyes on Glitter Explosion, Assistant General Manager of Rogue. Can we see a picture of her beautiful face? Oh my gosh. Self-proclaimed Jack of all trades, or should we say Jill. She helped put together, you might remember, the Dr. Lupo and Steve Aoki stream. She was also in collaboration with Imagine Dragons. And one interesting thing, how she dipped her toes into the esports arena was to design a 25,000 square foot venue for her master's thesis in interior design. Great job, Lauren. Keep pioneering, sis. We definitely see you.
Yeah, we see you, and keep on keeping on. Now, as we are in the middle of the week, we've got a whole bunch of teams in the middle of the pack. Of course, some scores and standings to get through as we start breaking it down. But let's start off with what's happening today. In this episode of the Daily HUD, we're going a little bit more focused on some esports news, but of course, we've still got all those scores and gaming news for all you hungry scorekeepers and otherwise out there. So, starting off, we've got the results from yesterday's CWL. CSGO continued with the ESL and the Series 7 of the Esports Championship Series, alongside a little bit of an exploitation, some bug.
We'll get into that later, Dom.
Yes.
Don't jump the gun. We have news of a little collaboration with a favorited basketball star. Overwatch is celebrating their 3rd anniversary in the fullest of forms, and traditionally, if you don't know, leather is a gift given on any 3rd anniversary.
Whip me for not knowing, because we've got a whole bunch of other new stuff coming out as well. Some updates from Apex, Hearthstone Grandmasters are continuing with Season 1, Week 2, and we are in the middle of the collegiate ULoL quarterfinals that are starting later this week. We saw a teaser of the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 load times at a recent event. Street Fighter V is continuing to climb in sales, and of course we're also talking about Mortal Kombat 11 potentially leaking some of their DLC characters, and also looking at From Software partnering with George R.R. Martin. Do you like Game of Thrones? Well, how about Dark Souls? Why not both?
Yes, exactly. Finally, Call of Duty will get a mobile battle royale mode.
Yes.
And finally, we saw the official release of Dauntless on Windows, PS4, and Xbox One, including support for cross-platform play. This should be a very exciting brand new game. Everyone will really enjoy it.
Yeah, I got a chance to play in the beta a little while back, and it's a lot of fun. It takes place in a fantasy setting where there's this massive cataclysmic event that's sort of torn the world apart, releasing these giant monsters known as behemoths. It's kind of based on Monster Hunter, but again, we'll be talking about that in just a little bit. So let's go ahead and hop right into all of our esports news. Starting things off with our results, our first league that we're looking at from yesterday is the CWL, the Call of Duty World League, in which we saw plenty of games, a plentiful amount.
Lots of games happening there. Opening up the day, we had Midnight versus Reciprocity, which you can see now on your screens. You want to walk us through that, Dom?
Yeah, so the match was pretty quick and a rather one-sided affair. Reciprocity had a very strong opening in game 1, and they just continued to drive into their opponents with a clean 3-0 over the course of the series. After that, we saw our #1 team in the league show us what they're all about, with Optic Gaming taking a 3-0 against Evil Geniuses. Afterwards, UYU went 3-1 against Luminosity, and FaZe Clan went 3-1 against Genji. Now, as a result of today's matches, with Optic's victory, they are one step further ahead of every other team in the league, and they're starting to separate more and more from the middle of the pack. Genji was their only real competition, but from first place, they've now dropped 2 games since we've last been looking at them, giving Optic a larger opportunity to close out the season strong and further in first place.
And meanwhile, Luminosity is struggled at the end of their day, and they have now dropped all the way to the bottom of the standings in Division A. So today, if you want to catch those games, you'll be seeing FaZe Clan versus Evil Geniuses, UYU versus Reciprocity, Midnight versus Optic Gaming, Genji versus Luminosity, and all those games will be starting at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, and you will not want to miss them.
Yes, and if you're still looking for more shooter action, we've also got the results from Counter-Strike's ESL Pro League, which took one more step towards finishing off its 2nd round of groups, as we opened with games in both Europe and the Americas. Starting things off, the games looked like a whole bunch of fun as we went through. Taking a look, though, we're going to start with the Americas, in which we saw eUnited challenge Cloud9. Though eUnited opened the best-of-3 series with a win, Cloud9 barely squeaked out a victory in Game 2 on Nuke at 16-14, and then proceeded to move on to win the 3rd map with a very handy 16-7 overall, giving Cloud9 the victory. our second match.
So game 2 was a much more one-sided affair with Ghost Gaming challenging Infinity, though it seemed to have ended before it even began, with Ghost Gaming taking the series with a solid 2-0, and there was never a doubt. In Europe, we had 2 sets as well, with Navi challenging North and Heroic taking on Big. So Navi lost to North at 1-2, and Heroic won against Big at 2-0. Of course, that's not all of your CSGO action, as later today we'll get Navi versus Big and Heroic versus North in the winners versus winners and losers versus losers matchup.
Now, looking back towards the Americas, we're looking at United versus Ghost Gaming and Cloud9 versus Infinity Esports happening later today. But that's not the only Counter-Strike tournament that's still going on. We saw a handful of games yesterday for the Esports Championship Series 7 opening up with its own Series 5 today. Look, it's a lot of names.
Wow, so much CSGO.
But looking at those North American games first, we entered the quarterfinals with Team Singularity taking on MIBR, who I know you're a pretty big fan of.
MIBR ended up victorious with a 2-0 win over Team Singularity. Cloud9 won over E United 2-0. Ince Esports was 2-1 against Luminosity, and Team Liquid won against Space Station at 2-0. Wow, those are pretty 2-0, 2-0, 2-0.
Yeah, pretty clear day. As a result of today's matches, though, we are entering the semifinals of Series 5 later today, starting with MIBR versus Cloud9 and INTZ Esports against Team Liquid. Those matches, again, beginning later today. But that's not the only league that's still going on. In Europe, we similarly saw the completion of the quarterfinals. Fnatic going 2-1 against Virtus Pro, Avantgarde going 2-1 against Mouse, FaZe Clan 2-0 against G2 Esports, and Optic Gaming taking their own 2-0 against NIP Ninjas in Pajamas. As a result of that, looking at the semifinals, which will be happening today, Fnatic will take on Avantgarde and FaZe Clan will play Optic Gaming. And again, those semifinals are happening today. Still tons and tons of action. We've got the CWL, the NBA 2K League, we've got the ESL Pro League, the ECS Series 7, Series 5 semifinals.
See that 10 times fast.
Starting tomorrow, we're also going to be getting the ULoL Collegiate quarterfinals
so
running throughout the course of the weekend.
We're back in it. We had a little bit of a break.
We haven't even got the League of Legends professional leagues coming back on the beginning of June. Overwatch is coming back, I want to say June 5th. Look, we're in the middle of the season, folks, and it's just going to keep on going uphill.
Yes, exactly. So up next, we're looking at the Hearthstone Grandmasters 2019 Season 1 in both the Europe and Americas.
Now, that took place this weekend with Weekend 1. We saw 2 groups of 8 for a total of 16 total players competing across 3 days of this past weekend. In the Americas region, we only had 1 player end up going 2-0 so far in Frozen, with nearly every other player going 1-1, with the exception of PNC going 0-2. Group B results are still filling in as of the time of filming this, so of course we'll be updating you on that news. In Europe, though, we've got a much more clear picture as 3 players sit atop the group. This NL, Fenomeno, and Calento are at a comfortable 2-0, while in Group B, only 2 players have a flawless 2-0 record so far, with Cassie and Seiko, both of whom won their best of 3s with another 2-0 win.
Of course, this is only week 1 of the action, with week 2 slated to begin this Friday for both the European and the North American leagues, which will be running throughout the weekend until Sunday.
Yes, so still plenty of Hearthstone action rocking out as well, but that is our esports news for what's going on. Now we get to start looking at...
We made it.
Yeah, some gaming news.
Some fun stuff.
Yeah,
okay, so Fortnite news, in case you haven't heard already. Yesterday, we had the preview of some skins coming your way, and Fortnite fans, the official announcement was, in fact, yesterday. So we have a couple new skins. One of them is only available on their mobile device, which I think goes for about €400. Anyways, that would be the teaser of the Horror Wonder outfit skin. And all of you diehard Fortnite fans have probably already had a chance to preview this skin, in addition of what looks like it can only be available on the mobile device, as I said before.
Yes.
We also had
more limited content, but hey, if you feel like you haven't been really dunking on folks enough, you might get an opportunity to do that in the future with all the hullabaloo. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Jordan has jumped aboard the Fortnite Battle Bus, and and will perhaps become one of the most coveted skins available in the newest patch in update 9.10.
The 2 basketball skins currently available were dropped nearly a year ago with Jump Shot and Triple Threat, who might possibly be returning as well with this new update.
Now, yesterday on Fortnite's official Twitter, they released a message saying, yo, game recognized game. Fortnite's a huge proprietor of big name collaborations. Last week, we revealed the John Wick Chapter 3 collaboration. We saw them partnering with Avengers Endgame, which is on track to become one of the greatest, if not the greatest selling movies of all time. And for a short period in 2018, during the Super Bowl, there was a limited time NFL Rumble game mode introduced. So Fortnite,
they're always getting after it.
They're partnering with everybody that they can. Looks like
Notorious.
Jordan is the next one to join that list.
Yeah,
but
good for
still,
him.
speaking of collaborations, hopefully we'll get a chance to see some new collaborations for this upcoming game that we're talking about in Overwatch.
Yes, and they're celebrating their 3rd year anniversary, and starting just yesterday, the event kicked off for all players of the game, offering limited time loot boxes with its own unique set of skins to celebrate the anniversary, plus a whole bunch more limited time skins that are now available to acquire. It seems like the old brawl modes of 2018 are coming back as well, from the Halloween Terror to the Lucio Ball.
Lucio Ball. It's
Yeah.
soccer, but with Lucio.
Oh, I see.
Alongside some of the story updates that we saw with Storm Rising and Uprising, this anniversary event is running until June 10th, so you've got about 2.5 weeks to get in there and purchase all of those limited time event skins that were only there for 1 or 2 weeks at a time. They are all available right now to get in and purchase. And to further celebrate that, even if you don't own Overwatch, you don't need to worry about it because it is free to play starting
$3.99.
yesterday and running all the way throughout the remainder of the week until I want to say the 29th is the day that they are going to stop being free. So if you haven't had the opportunity to try the game Fortnite, just for logging in, you receive a legendary anniversary loot crate, which is set to contain at least 1 legendary item. I got a Lucio skin in mine.
Ooh, congrats.
But it seems like a pretty moderately sized bonanza with everything that's going on. So again, Fortnite anniversary, Overwatch anniversary, highly recommend that you give it a go because it's free and you get free stuff right now. And you get to keep that free stuff on your account even if you don't purchase it for the rest of it. But for those of you who are waiting for the Overwatch League to return, we're going to start seeing Stage 3 Week 1 on Thursday, June 6th, after finishing up their Stage 2 playoffs and All-Stars this past week. So, lots of Overwatch still going on. But
Okay. All of our CSGO players are going to want to pay a close attention to this one we've got for you. A game-breaking exploit was just discovered that could dramatically affect competitive play if not addressed very soon. You want to tell us about this, Dom?
Yeah, so a popular CSGO community member took to Twitter to show off the new exploit in which a newly found game command can alter the shape of smoke released from smoke grenades and can make the fire from fire grenades disappear completely. Now, to be clear, this is client-side and not server-side, so it still exists there and your opponents see it, but by moving your crosshair from one of the smoke clouds to another, players can alter the shape of the smoke cloud and can, in theory, create a completely one-sided smoke cloud, giving a huge advantage over to their opponent. This exploit can also work on fire released from fire grenades, but to a much lesser extent as it simply respawns the fire on the ground. Players can force the fire to disappear from the map for a brief period, about a second long, and while it doesn't seem like a huge amount, it can let the player run through the flames unscathed or even jump through it, again, providing that similarly unfair advantage. Players were able to determine that the changes are, again, only on client side, meaning that they will appear differently depending on other players who are involved in this server. Valve has yet to comment on the exploit despite fans clamoring for a quick fix to be made, the biggest request, of course, being to the change that results from the grenade throws from server side to client side, which could effectively fix the issue depending on, of course, networking and all of that. But no one has had the chance to test the exploit on a LAN server just yet. But if it does work there as well, Valve is going to have to move fast to patch it out so that it does not affect competitive play. This is a pretty big deal because this works while cheats are off.
Oh no.
So you don't have to be cheating, you just have to find the command and type it in, and you can bind it to your mouse. Somebody throws a smoke, oh no, I can't see. And then you just quickly scan through different smoke patterns on your side of the server until you get one that allows you to see past it.
See right through.
Exactly.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Pretty big deal.
So why aren't they doing anything about this? Nobody's commented.
Well, again, we only just found out about this yesterday.
Right.
So it depends on the time that it takes for Valve to get this sort of turnaround. The hope is that they're able to get it relatively quickly, but it's probably going to have to, if it is client side, that means that it will have to be client patched, which means that they have to do an update, test it internally, find the revisions that solve it, and then push that update out to everyone who plays CSGO.
Wow.
So
sounds like a big mess
we've
to
seen
clean
some
up.
pretty quick turnarounds before, but this might still be alive when we look towards the ESL Pro League, when we look towards the ECS happening today as well.
Uh-oh, I wonder if people are going to take advantage of that.
Luckily though, at least for the ESL Pro League, that takes place in a live stadium with referees behind them. So if the referee sees the smoke suddenly changing shape on the guy's monitor, then something's up.
Right.
But for the ECS, I believe that is played online, so there's nobody policing that.
Hopefully they
on the
maybe
client side.
postpone the game. I think they should, if
very
people
well
can
could.
cheat this easily.
Yeah, well, again, we'll have to find out.
Okay, so in more bug-related news, Apex is still dealing with a large number of bugs that have popped up since its relatively smooth launch, one of the biggest being a player collision bug that occurs when players exit the dropship at the start of the level. So that means if multiple players stacked on top of each other as they fall, the game will push them down faster than the opposing team, allowing them to land first and to gain an unfair advantage.
Yes, now the bug was supposed to have been fixed in the most recent hotfix, in the most recent patch in April, but once players looked through the patch notes when the patch was actually released, there was no mention of any fix to this collision issue. A Respawn developer did go to Reddit to update that the patch had been made for a very specific fix and that he thought it would be a more general patch fixing a larger number of issues. However, since this wasn't the case, he went on to say that the issue is fixed on Respawn's developer servers and will be implemented in a new patch down the line, but again, he was unable to say when that patch would be. So unfortunately, it looks like Apex players will have to deal with this bug just a little while longer than they had hoped for, and with any luck, we're gonna have more information on that next patch sooner rather than later.
Yes,
and
hopefully.
It kind of turns into a bit of a funny race where how quickly can CSGO turn their game around as opposed to Apex, because they already have the patch, but they still need to actually ship and send it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is just a little funny race.
We'll see. We'll see
who
who
you
wins.
think is going to be a little faster, Respawn or Valve?
I think, well, Apex, right?
Yeah.
I think
they've
Apex
already
will
got a
get
solution.
ahead.
They claim they've already got a solution.
Yeah, exactly. And well, I mean, they had such a smooth launch initially, so I think that they'll be able to fix up that patch really quickly.
Yeah, even with
Hopefully.
their slow patch cadence historically.
So I guess we shouldn't bet on this one.
Okay, well, I
Don
don't know.
seems to disagree.
If they already have the solution, then that's a really good thing. That means
Yeah.
that they've already taken the time and the effort and they've solved the problem. They just need to ship it out to the server, which means waiting for testing and revisions.
And coming back. And well, both bugs seem very complicated to try and fix, especially since they're from like client side, so it's not really up to the company.
Apex one, I imagine, is server side because that would juggle player collision more often than not. But hey, I mean, we're just speculating, both of which are on the Source engine.
Right.
Up this weekend, we're looking at the League of Legends Collegiate Championship for 2019. 8 teams have qualified for this tournament, and they're going to be participating in a single elimination bracket all the way up to the top. Those teams are Maryville University, UC Irvine, Western University, Illinois University, Waterloo, Michigan State, Columbia College, and North Carolina State. These are the top 8 collegiate League of Legends teams in North America at this time. The quarterfinal runs on Thursday and Friday starting at 3 p.m. Pacific, and on Sunday we're going to be getting the semifinals before the big Sunday with the grand finals kicking off at 1:15 Pacific, 4:15 Eastern. The big highlight is that these games will be streaming on the LoL Esports Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Riot Games, so viewers of League of Legends across all platforms who have gone to the Riot Games channel will get a chance to enjoy this massive scale event.
Okay.
Yeah, so what this basically means is that the NCAA said, hey, we're not going to get involved in esports. Meanwhile, Riot Games is over here saying, we've been doing our own tournaments for 4 years now.
Already happening.
5 years.
Already ahead of you.
We don't need the NCAA to make our own thing because we've already got the finals this next week.
Got it.
Yeah. So big congratulations to you, ULoL. I'm going to be watching those as well because I used to commentate those tournaments
I
in
recall.
2015 and 2016. So some old
good
Dom
memories.
history. Yes. Looking up next, though, we're talking about the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. We've been hearing
with loading time, right?
not actually issues, but good things about the loading time.
Oh, okay.
We've been hearing about the PlayStation 5 being in development from Sony for a while now. Mark Cerny recently did an interview with Kotaku, I want to say. Might be Game Informer. It's basically spoiling, hey, we're working on a PlayStation 5. It's going to have RTX. It's going to have an SSD. It's going to be capable of 8K. It's going to be super, super powerful machine. And he showed the reporter this, but the reporter couldn't take pictures. He couldn't record any video. So it was all word of mouth from this reporter who got a chance to speak with Mark Cerny. Well, yesterday, there was a public presentation of the PlayStation 5's load times. And a certain reporter this time was able to pull out his phone and actually capture a video demo showing the difference in load times between the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 using Marvel's, the most recent Spider-Man game for the PlayStation 4 as a test.
Okay.
And this is super, super cool because in the difference in load time with the SSD, you saw on the PlayStation 4, it takes about 8.5 seconds to load into the game. On the PlayStation 5, it takes 0.8 seconds, less than 1 second. You click it, and then boom, it's done.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's incredibly fast.
Yeah, there are some really, really neat implications for this. For example, in that Spider-Man game, your character's speed is limited by how quickly the map loads in on your computer. So you can only go so fast depending on the speed of, your computer, the PlayStation. You can only move so fast. Well, what if it loads much faster? You don't have that speed limitation anymore. And in the demo, they show Spider-Man just flying through the city like a missile as it loads and renders without issue. So this is a really, really big deal. The jump to SSD is a very, very big deal for the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 5, because what kind of world would we live in if we don't have load times? If our gaming experience doesn't have to wait for it to load and can happen instantaneously. People have been dealing with load times forever. Destiny uses interconnected passages to separate all the load between their different maps, but what if they don't need to worry about that? What if you don't need pause menus anymore and everything is just integrated into the game? This may not seem like a big deal, but this could very well change how we play games for the rest of time.
Well, it's great to see that it's not a game of telephone and we actually have some live footage.
Yeah, we actually do have footage. So we played it a little bit earlier. It is super, super compelling. We're probably going to be hearing more about the PlayStation 5 in a little over 2 weeks when we get to E3, even though Sony isn't officially attending.
Right.
They're probably going to be set up just across the street in their own place, like, hey, hello.
Come on by, hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, but of course that's going to be happening in a couple of weeks. Looking today, though, some good news for Capcom.
Yes, as Street Fighter 5 has officially sold over 3 million units, placing it in its list of platinum titles, which are the 36 best-selling Capcom games of all time.
I know.
I'm sorry.
It's Wednesday.
Street Fighter 5 was able to sell 200,000 units in the first 3 months of the year, even with no new characters or news of an upcoming season of content. The last character to drop in Street Fighter 5 was Kage.
Kage.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Dom, help me out here.
Yeah, that released back in February. Of course, he was teased in December. Now, joining the list of platinum Capcom titles alongside Street Fighter 5 was the Resident Evil 2 remake and the Devil May Cry 5 game, selling 4.2 million and 2.1 million units respectively, with Devil May Cry 5 reaching this milestone in just under a month. Now, Street Fighter 5 is 300,000 units away from topping the base release on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, which sits at a comfortable 3.4 million units. And what's really special about this is that there has not been any new content or season passes announced, and it is unlikely that this is going to happen within the next few weeks with E3 coming up. That's probably where we're going to be hearing something. Street Fighter V is now the 5th fighting game to make this list of Capcom's 36 best-selling platinum tier games.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay, some less exciting news for fans of Mortal Kombat 11. MK11 as the star of Evil Dead and Army of Darkness franchise. Bruce Campbell went on Twitter debunking the rumor that the main character of the season, Ash, would make his way to MK11. When the game launched last month, data miners were able to find files referencing 9 DLC characters to be added to the roster, including DC Comics Joker, we have Nightwolf, Terminator, Sindel, Spawn, Fugan, Shiva, and Ash. Data miners were able to find specific characters' interaction dialogue, which includes lines from Joker referencing Batman and Ash referring to the Book of the Dead. So what does this all mean? It added an extra layer of legitimacy to the rumors, especially considering how much the tone matches NetherRealm's style of writing.
Yeah, now Bruce Campbell, though, returned to Twitter and even included an accompanying joke image in which he debunked Ash's inclusion in the game, saying Ash from Evil Dead will not be involved. Now, Bruce's tweet should be taken with a grain of salt, as this should debunk the rest of the leaked DLC list, which includes a character that we already know about, Shang Tsung. It's important to note, though, that Bruce claimed, again, Ash from the Evil Dead series would not be included in the game, speaking nothing about Ash, the same character from Army of Darkness, or the Star series, Ash from the Evil Dead. So this kind of fits with the word twisting and half-truths that we hear from NetherRealm, especially knowing Ed Boon and that style of content that he is known for. So it's basically like saying Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi is not going to be in the game. Well, what about A New Hope? What about Empire Strikes Back? What about The Last Jedi? There are tons of different Luke Skywalkers, but this one specifically won't be there. But hey, we've still got tons and tons of news to get through, but it looks like we are all done for today. We could just keep going forever.
I know, there's a lot to talk about. This is the Daily HUD.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching.
So much, Dom. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Again, I'm Dom. Yeah. This is Sierra.
I'm Sierra.
Have a wonderful Wednesday, my dudes. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
GG.
GG. Thank you.